now we're going to read a fiction story called Raquela's Seder, written by Joel Edward Stein and illustrated by Sarah Ugaletti. I am reading this book with the permission of Carben. Raquela had a secret. On Friday nights, she followed her parents down to the wine cellar under their house. There, her mother would light Shabbat candles and her father would say a prayer over the wine. That secret room was the only place the Rivera family could celebrate Shabbat. In Spain, where Raquela lived, Jews were forbidden from practicing their religion. The king and queen punished those who were caught observing Jewish customs or celebrating Jewish holidays. But Raquela's parents had told her about the holiday of Passover, a celebration of freedom that they could speak of only in whispers. Raquela dreamed of a Passover seder. One Friday night, Raquela asked her parents, "Could we have a seder for Passover this year?" Mama sighed. "We cannot. If the king's spies found out what we were doing." She couldn't bring herself to say more. But Papa looked thoughtful. Raquela's Papa was known as the best fisherman in their town. He had a small fishing boat, and he used only one fishing line. But even when other fishermen came back empty-handed, Raquela's Papa always came back with fish. "How is it that you catch so many fish, even when others do not, Papa?" Raquela asked. "To catch a fish," said Papa, "you must be smarter than a fish. And to be smarter than a fish, you must think like a fish. Clever fish hide in places where fishermen never expect them to be. It is the clever fish that doesn't get caught." The night before Passover began, Papa asked Mama to bake flat matzah and mix some dried fruit with nuts and spices. He asked Raquela to collect a basket, a wine goblet, and a tablecloth. "We will also need 1 egg," he said, "and one of the bones we saved from last night's dinner, and some parsley and bitter salad greens from the herb garden." "Why?" asked Raquela. "You will see," said Papa. The next day before sundown, Raquela and her mama crept down to the shore with the basket, making sure that no one was watching. Papa was waiting in his boat. Raquela and Mama climbed in, and Papa lowered the sail. He headed toward the islands beyond the bay. "Where are we going, Papa?" Raquela asked in a whisper. "We are going to have a seder," he answered. Papa wove the boat this away and that away through the waves. Finally, he lowered his sail and dropped the anchor. "This is my secret fishing place," said Papa. Raquela grinned. "Who would think to have a seder here?" she said. "A clever fish," laughed Papa. "A clever fish that doesn't get caught," Raquela said. Papa set a large crate in the middle of the boat. He took the tablecloth from the basket and draped it over the crate. "This will be our seder table," he said. Then Mama set out the matzah crackers, the egg, the parsley, the bone, the fruit mixture, the bitter greens, and the wine. He drew a small bowl of salt water from the sea. Raquela listened eagerly as Papa told the story. "On Passover," he said, "we remember how the Jewish people lived in Egypt a long time ago. They were ruled by the wicked Pharaoh. He made the Jewish people work as his slaves." Papa picked up the parsley and dipped it into the water. "Now we take a bite of this," he said, and chanted a blessing. "It tastes so salty," Raquela said. "Yes," said Papa, "as salty as the tears cried by our ancestors in Egypt. On Passover, we remember how precious freedom is, and we remember how the Jewish people gained their freedom from Pharaoh." Papa read the 4 questions, beginning with, "Why is this night different from all other nights?" Then he continued with the Passover story. The Jewish people had a leader named Moses. He warned Pharaoh that God would be very angry if Pharaoh did not let the people go. But Pharaoh would not listen. God brought plagues on the people of Egypt. Finally, after the 10th plague, Pharaoh let the people go. And they left so fast that the bread they made for the journey had no time to rise, said Mama. And that is why we eat matzah. Raquela looked up at the starry sky. She imagined Moses leading the Jewish people out of Egypt to freedom. Papa filled the wine goblet and raised it. A long time ago, God freed the Jewish people from slavery in Egypt. Let us hope that one day we will also be free to live as Jews. Papa turned the boat around and they sailed for home. An old fisherman spotted their boat as it came toward shore. He wondered why Raquela's father had taken his family out to fish. "This must have been a special night for you," he called to them. "Indeed it was," Papa called back. Raquela looked at her father and said softly, "It was a night different from all other nights." The end.